What's the deal with anal sex and how can you stay safe when you're having it? I'm Dr. RENAMALIK, urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today we're going to talk all about anal sex. Anal sex is the process of inserting a penis into the anus of another partner. And people often engage in anal sex for sexual pleasure or because they want to avoid an unwanted pregnancy. And it's becoming more and more common among young heterosexual couples. In the United States, they estimate that about 37% of men and 30% of women have engaged in anal sex. And when compiling much research together, it's estimated that about 10% of sexually active women regularly engage in anal intercourse. Some people find anal sex to be more intimate than vaginal intercourse or other forms of sex. Some enjoy the variety or novelty of anal sex. Others find joy or excitement in doing something that's more taboo or forbidden. Other people enjoy the control or domination that they perceive during anal intercourse. And others enjoy kind of the pain/pleasure sensation that they feel with anal sex. And lastly, some people just do it as a part of their relationship with their partner. And interestingly, anal sex, in particular in between heterosexual couples, has been depicted as far back as 300 AD. These were specifically seen on Peruvian pots. And in the 16th and 19th centuries, it was seen in Chinese hand scrolls and prints. And then later in French lithography and photography in the 19th and 20th centuries. So it's been happening for a long time. So is anal sex safe? Yes, when done correctly and safely, it can be very, very safe. But what are the things that you need to know to have safe anal sex? Well, first and foremost, you want to make sure you and your partner are on the same page. That requires communicating with them. And sometimes it's not always just verbal communication. You want to pick up on their body language and their cues to really understand if they really want to participate in this or they're kind of feeling a little bit forced. Also, the anal canal does not make its own lubrication, so you need a lot of lubricant. I've made an entire video about lubricants, but things that you should know is that the pH for the anus is different than the pH for the vagina, which is why water-based lubricants typically are designated as lubricants for anal sex. It's also important to know that water-based lubricants dry out and you may need to reapply. Other options are silicone-based or oil-based. Why would you need to use a condom? There's no risk of pregnancy with anal sex. I've talked about this before in a video about the only FDA-approved condom for anal sex, is that anal sex can put you at risk for sexually transmitted infections. And this is a serious problem because very few people are actually using condoms with anal sex. And anal sex, the anal tissues and the lining of the rectum is very, very thin and friable, meaning that it easily bleeds and then you can be exposed to each other's bodily fluids like blood, which can transmit sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, HPV, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia. So if you are not sure about your partner's STI status or you want to protect yourself, it's always important to use a condom. You can also use a dental dam when using oral to anal intercourse. And no matter whether you use a condom or not, always use sufficient lubricant because you want to make sure the experience is not only comfortable, but it's also safe. Also, make sure if you go from anal to vaginal penetration that you change condoms. Take off the condom that you use for anal penetration and use a new condom for vaginal penetration. So what about using toys? Very often when you're starting to foray into anal intercourse or anal play, it's often recommended to start with something smaller than a phallus. So using a lubricated finger or a sex toy. What kind of toys can you use safely in the anus? Well, there are very specific things that are marketed for anal intercourse that usually have a flared base or some sort of ring or string at the back that you can easily pull out the device that you're inserting. So those are the ones you want to use. There are so many things on the market like butt plugs, anal beads, dildos, but you again want to make sure that these are designated for anal play. You definitely don't want to use something that might be used for vaginal play that doesn't have a flared base because unfortunately these things can get lost in the rectum and you don't want to spend your fun, kinky, sexy night in the ER because you lost your sex toy. Also, after you've used any sort of toy for anal play, make sure you sanitize that toy before you use it again. If you're ever having pain during anal sex, it's really important to stop, especially if you're having significant bleeding or pain that's not going away. It's extremely rare, but sometimes anal sex can lead to injuries of the anal sphincter. The anal sphincter is the ring of muscles that surrounds the anus that helps control bowel movements. And if that's injured, you can develop things like fecal incontinence or accidents with stool. Again, this is extremely rare, but these things only happen when you're having unsafe anal sex, meaning you're not using lots of lubricants, you're not listening to your body, and you're forcing things to move forward when your body's not ready for it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and so you can go on and have safe, sensual, enjoyable anal sex with your consenting partner. If you'd like to look at the FDA approved anal condom, check it out in the description below. And please stay safe, stay healthy. As always, remember to take care of yourself because you're worth it.